In 1995, at the ripe old age of 10, I facilitated my first workshops that happened to be children's classes and junior youth groups. And by the time 2007 rolled around, I was formally recognized by a company that I joined called Sage Presence as a communications consultant. And it was at Sage Presence where I played a crucial role in helping Sage Presence clients like Morton's and Construction secure major projects, most notably their contract to build US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, Minnesota, home of the Minnesota Vikings. Over the years, I've coached thousands of individuals. I have hosted and facilitated more than I would say over 100 workshops, and I've done it globally, most notably in North America as well as Europe and Asia. And it's leading me to my current role as a certified heroic performance coach and level 2 workshop facilitator. So that's great, but let me give you the real version of me by way of allowing me to reintroduce myself. So I grew up in a double-wide trailer. I vividly remember financial struggles like checks not clearing the bank account, and not for big purchases, but for things like paying for the local paper. Even now, waking up at 4:30 in the morning, yes, 4:30, it sometimes takes me a full 10 minutes to muster up the courage to get out of bed. And despite my achievements by the young age of 39, they have come with substantial stress, with fear, anxiety, a lot of self-doubt, and a ton of financial concerns. So what do I want? And what do I do about it? I want to be my best self. So I did what many of us here would have done. I immersed myself in self-help literature, in professional and personal development. I attended workshops in the most idyllic settings. I am telling you, the most amazing places on earth, though I never walked on fire. And what I learned is that those highs led to like very short-term highs. There was no consistency to it. It almost felt like I landed rock bottom. It missed that supportive community that shared similar goals. So enter Brian Johnson, enter Heroic Public Benefit Corporation, and enter its stated mission of 51% of the world's population flourishing by 2051. Happy people have projects, right? So my project became being and becoming that best, most heroic version of me. And I haven't looked back since. It was in 2002 that I joined Heroic Coach Class 9. My wife and I shortly thereafter became early investors in the public benefits movement, and I became an early adopter in the Heroic Social Training platform, their app. And it was that container and it was that community that I was missing all along. So I think it's really important to highlight who Heroic has been blessed to support up until this point. So to date, Heroic has had the privilege of serving all cadets, faculty, and staff at the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. Also been able to serve Major League Soccer's Toronto FC at the player, coach, and organizational level, the New York Yankees, the Miami Heat through the book Arate, and championship-winning NCAA coaches and teams, not to mention leaders at the highest levels of the U.S. military and special forces. However, as amazing as all of those individuals and all of those organizations are, it's the personal transformation that I've experienced, my own hero's journey, if you will, that I'm so eager to share with you. Of all the wisdom, of all the theory that Brian has spent the last 25, 30 years sharing, it's flipping the switch, this idea of stepping in between stimulus and response, the ultimate algorithm, as we call it, that has had the biggest impact on my life. And I really knew that I had that theory in practice and near mastery when a pipe recently broke upstairs underneath the kitchen sink, and I was screaming and yelling for my 9-year-old to bring back the bucket, and he was nowhere to be found. As opposed to yelling at him, which would inevitably cause the steep shame and these tears in his eyes and his shoulders to droop, I instead stepped in between stimulus and response. I flipped that switch and I asked myself, that best version of who I am, how might I best respond? And I chose to respond with patience and understanding. I chose to respond with love. And if you're curious, what was he doing? He was dumping the water bucket down the toilet and watching the water go down the drain with such intense excitement and joy, so much so that he lost sight of his one and only task. In any event, you can probably tell I'm all in at closing the gap between who I am and who I possibly can be one day. I really do think that the sky is the limit. And now, as a level 2 Heroic Workshop facilitator and Heroic Performance Coach, I've dedicated my life to helping others do the same, unlock their heroic potential, walk their hero's journey, starting with you and me together and today. If we aggregate and we compound that over time, our individual and our collective highs will become higher. Our lows will become higher. And it's really hard for me to have a really bad day, quite frankly, let alone a series of bad days when I'm practicing my protocol, and the same can be for you. So now 51% by 2051, that's doable, right? If not you, then who? If not now, then when? It's day one. Let's go all in together today. Let's go, hero.